For nearly 3 decades, Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Furness were the couple Hollywood pointed to whenever someone said love couldn't survive fame. Then almost overnight, 27 years of what looked like an unbreakable bond simply collapsed. And now, the person who may be hurting most isn't saying a single word about it. Oscar Jackman, Hugh's adopted son, has gone completely silent. No interviews, no red carpet appearances with his dad, no carefully worded Instagram post assuring the world that everything is fine. In celebrity circles, that kind of silence isn't passive. It's a statement. And the longer it stretches, the louder it gets. Here's the thing that makes Oscar's silence so striking. The PR playbook for celebrity divorces is practically automatic. Within days of an announcement, the kids release statements. We love both our parents. Please respect our privacy. Family comes first. You've heard it 100 times. But Oscar, nothing. And fans noticed immediately. Every photo Deborah Lee posted without Hugh became a clue. Every time Oscar was spotted walking beside his mother, protective, somber, close, people started reading into it. Social media doesn't wait for confirmation. It builds a verdict from fragments. And the fragments were telling a story nobody expected from Hollywood's golden couple. But to really understand why this split cut so deep, you have to understand who Deborah Lee Furness actually was before she became Mrs. Hugh Jackman. In 1995, when the two met on the set of the Australian prison drama Corelli, Deborah Lee was the star. Hugh was fresh out of drama school, eager, unknown, and by his own admission, completely smitten from day one. They married within a year, and right from the start, the world had opinions. She was 13 years older, she was more established. Critics whispered it wouldn't last, that once Hugh's star rose, he'd move on. Every single one of those critics was proven wrong. For years, what makes this more than just another Hollywood divorce is what Deborah Lee quietly gave up along the way. She stepped back from her own rising career to help manage Hugh's climb to global superstardom. She was beside him through failed IVF treatments, multiple miscarriages, and eventually the decision to adopt Oscar in 2000 and Ava in 2005. She wasn't just his wife. She was the architect of everything the Jackman family stood for, and Hugh made sure everyone knew it. Red carpet after red carpet, interview after interview. He called her his soulmate, his best friend, the woman who changed his life. Fans believed it because it felt real. They were the couple people cited as proof that love could survive fame. Oscar grew up watching all of that. He watched his mother pour herself into building a life and a family around a man who was becoming one of the most recognized faces on earth, which is exactly why what came next hit him, reportedly, like a betrayal he couldn't forgive, because here's where the story takes a turn nobody saw. Coming, the rumors started circulating during Hugh's Broadway run in The Music Man. High-profile outlets began reporting that his chemistry with co-star Sutton Foster wasn't limited to the stage. Sources suggested the two had developed a deep, close bond during rehearsals, one that allegedly crossed lines, while Hugh was still very much married to Deborah Lee. For fans, it reframed everything. Old interview clips from the show started resurfacing. Moments that once looked completely innocent suddenly appeared loaded with new meaning. People began analyzing body language, dissecting glances, re-watching TikToks they'd laughed at months before. Once suspicion sets in, every smile becomes evidence. The detail that stings most isn't the rumors themselves, it's the timeline. Because if the reports are accurate, Deborah Lee may have been sharing a life with a man whose heart had already moved somewhere else. That's not just a marriage ending. That's a rewrite of the past, and for Oscar, it reportedly shattered something fundamental. Unlike many celebrity kids caught in the middle of a public split, Oscar hasn't tried to play both sides. Reports describe him as fiercely loyal to his mother, not as a PR move, but as a genuine choice made by a son watching his family come apart in real time. He's been spotted around New York escorting Deborah Lee, staying close, showing up. Sources say he's become one of her primary sources of support through the fallout. Meanwhile, Hugh and Sutton Foster have been photographed together publicly, and whispers of a future wedding have started circulating. But there's one problem Hugh apparently can't get around: his own children. Reports suggest Oscar and his sister Ava have made it unmistakably clear they will not give their blessing to any new relationship. Not while their mother is still processing the wreckage. Insiders say Hugh has been reaching out, texts, invitations, and that much of it goes unanswered. Oscar, in particular, is described as the wall Hugh simply cannot get through. A wedding, it seems, is on hold, because Hugh reportedly knows that if he moves forward without his son's support, he may lose that relationship permanently. That's not a tabloid drama anymore. That's a father and son standing on opposite sides of something neither of them can undo. And now Deborah Lee is reportedly preparing to make her own move. Word is spreading through the gossip world that she's shopping a tell-all memoir, one focused not just on her career, but on her marriage, the truth behind the perfect public image, and her side of a story that has only ever been told in headlines. Oscar reportedly is completely behind it. Sources say he's been helping her go through old photos and journals, encouraging her to speak openly, regardless of the consequences. For Hugh's PR team, this is a nightmare. His entire brand has been built on the nicest guy in Hollywood image, the devoted husband, the loving father, the man who seemed to genuinely mean every kind thing he ever said in an interview. If Deborah Lee's memoir challenges that image with specifics, with receipts, with her actual lived experience, the fallout could be severe. And with Oscar standing visibly in her corner, Hugh can't easily dismiss it. The cruel irony is that Hugh's charm, the very thing that made him beloved, is now working against him. Because when people fall in love with a story a celebrity sells them for 30 years, and then that story unravels, they don't just feel disappointed, they feel deceived. Old interviews are being rewatched with entirely new eyes. Compliments that once sounded romantic now sound rehearsed to some. That shift in perception, once it starts, is almost impossible to stop. There are still fans who defend Hugh, who argue that marriages are complicated, that no one truly knows what happens behind closed doors, and that he deserves to find happiness without being tried in the court of public opinion. That's a fair point. Divorces are rarely simple, and pain doesn't always make one person the villain and another the saint. But perception in Hollywood often carries more weight than fact. And right now, the image being broadcast to the world is this: a son standing beside his mother, quiet and protective, while his father moves forward with a new life. That image doesn't need a caption. It speaks entirely for itself. Whether Oscar ever publicly addresses what happened, whether the memoir lands like a bombshell, whether Hugh and Sutton's relationship survives the family pressure, none of it is settled yet. This story is still being written, but one chapter seems clear. The Hugh Jackman that millions of fans believed in for nearly 3 decades, the unshakable family man, the devoted husband, the golden-hearted superstar, is a version of him that may never fully return. And somewhere in New York, a son who grew up believing in that version is quietly, carefully choosing a different story to stand in.